What if I told you a simple 5-cent coin featuring Thomas Jefferson could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? Welcome back, collectors. Today we're diving deep into the world of the Jefferson nickel, specifically the top 5 rarest and most valuable Monticello nickels ever released. Since 1938, these iconic coins featuring Monticello on the reverse have been hiding in plain sight, in pocket change, old piggy banks, and forgotten collections. But a few rare dates and mint errors have become legendary among collectors. In this video, you'll discover the key dates that can skyrocket in value, rare wartime silver nickels, error coins worth serious money, and how to tell if you have one. Make sure to watch until the end, because number 1 might completely surprise you. Let's get started. 1971 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. The 1971 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel may look at first glance like any ordinary 5-cent coin. Thomas Jefferson's dignified profile on the obverse, his beloved home Monticello balanced and classical on the reverse, and a small d, denoting its birthplace at the Denver Mint. But within that appearance lies a coin that attracts serious collector attention, especially when viewed through the lenses of historical context, design evolution, minting statistics, market value, documented errors, and collector interest. In this comprehensive narrative, we'll examine why the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel is more than just another coin. It is a meaningful piece of U.S. numismatic history that continues to engage collectors of all levels. The year 1971 was a time of change in the United States. The nation was adjusting to a post-1960s era marked by cultural transformation, economic shifts, and evolving public attitudes toward American currency. Within that broader landscape, the U.S. Mint continued its mission of producing circulating coinage with an eye toward consistency, quality, and efficiency. The Jefferson nickel had been in continuous production since 1938, and by 1971 it had become a stable fixture of everyday commerce. Yet within the mechanics of minting and coin survival lay complexities that collectors have studied and debated for decades. As with other Jefferson nickels of the era, the 1971 D issue was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark beneath Monticello on the reverse. The design itself remained unchanged from prior years. Jefferson's left-facing profile on the obverse, declaring, "In God we trust, liberty," in the year 1971, while the reverse displays Monticello with its columns, pediment, and architectural clarity framed by inscriptions that include United States of America and 5 cents. Despite this continuity of design, subtle distinctions mark the 1971 D issue, distinctions related to strike technique, surface quality, and minting priorities of an era focused on producing vast quantities of coinage. Total mintage figures for the 1971 D are substantial. Over 170 million nickels were struck that year at Denver alone. Yes, this makes the 1971 D a high-production coin, and indeed, examples in circulated condition are relatively easy to find in pocket change and older collections. But, and here's the key, such numbers belie the true collector story, which rests in how many of those coins survived decades of circulation with high quality and minimal wear. Collector value for the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel is primarily driven by condition and eye appeal. Circulated coins, those that show light to heavy wear, are inexpensive and plentiful, making them ideal examples for beginning collectors or for filling basic date and mint mark folders. In average circulated condition, these coins might trade at modest premiums over face value, but their true significance emerges when we consider uncirculated and near-uncirculated survival populations. Coins graded mint state, MS, are the main realm where the 1971 D nickel reveals its collector value. An MS-60 or MS-61 coin represents a piece that shows no signs of circulation but may have noticeable contact marks or weaker strike definition. As the grade improves toward MS-63, MS-64, and MS-65, the coins become markedly rarer and more desirable. A sharply struck, lustrous silver-gray nickel that retains clear details, Jefferson's hairlines, Monticello's window frames, architectural elements that haven't been softened by wear, commands a strong premium in the collector market. In some auction records, coins in MS-65 or higher have fetched prices many times greater than their commonplace circulated counterparts. An important nuance that further elevates interest in the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel involves the existence of die varieties and minting errors. While the 1971 D issue isn't known for sensational or headline-grabbing errors, it does present several smaller varieties that numismatists appreciate. One category involves minor doubling, instances where letters or design elements appear slightly doubled due to die misalignment during hubbing. This kind of doubling is often subtle and detectable mainly by collectors experienced with magnification and reference comparison, but once authenticated, such pieces can carry premiums above otherwise typical specimens. Die cracks, raised lines on the coin surface that occur when dies exhibit stress fractures, show up in some 1971 D examples as well. These die cracks may cross particular design elements, such as a section of Monticello's roofline or fragments of lettering on the obverse. Coins displaying prominent die cracks, especially when they do not detract from overall eye appeal, attract collectors who specialize in documented die states and production anomalies. Additionally, planchet irregularities, variations in the metal blanks before striking, provide another category of interest. Artists of minting sometimes discover planchets with slight lamination flaws, metal clipping, or minor surface disruptions that result in coins with unique physical characteristics. While the 1971 D is not a premier year for such anomalies, examples do exist, and dedicated error collectors actively seek them out. Understanding market value requires balancing commonality with condition rarity. Circulated 1971 D. Jefferson nickels might be affordable to anyone, often available for cents above face value. But uncirculated examples, particularly those with strong original luster, minimal contact marks, and sharply defined design elements, are where value concentrates. A high-grade MS-64 coin may sell for multiple times the price of a circulated example, and an MS-65 or better specimen, especially one retaining strong eye appeal, can attract serious interest and strong bids at auctions or in dealer inventories. Beyond standard grading and error interest, collector demand for the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel also stems from long-standing traditions in numismatics. Many collectors pursue comprehensive Jefferson nickel sets, including all dates, major mint marks, and noteworthy varieties. In such collections, the 1971 D occupies a necessary and visible place. Securing a high-quality 1971 D to complete a set is often a significant milestone for advanced collectors, solidifying the coin's role not just as pocket change, but as a piece of collected history. The story of the 1971 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel is therefore one of duality. To the casual observer, it may seem ubiquitous and ordinary. To the informed collector, it holds nuance, challenge, and opportunity. Its high production numbers belie a survival profile that elevates top-grade specimens and certain varieties. It exists at the crossroads of everyday utility and numismatic ambition. Holding one invites reflection on the manufacturing norms of the early 1970s, the evolution of minting practices, and the ways history persists in metal. Whether you're drawn to condition rarity, the quiet intrigue of minor die varieties, or the pure satisfaction of completing a Jefferson nickel set with a high-grade specimen, the 1971 D. Jefferson nickel merits attention. In every strike, it carries both a common purpose and an uncommon narrative, the hallmark of coins collectors cherish most. 1977 Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. The 1977 Monticello Jefferson nickel represents a fascinating moment in the long-running Jefferson nickel series. It might not initially appear as rare or eye-catching as some of the classic early 20th century issues. No dramatic design changes, no silver content, no headline-making errors. But for serious numismatists and advanced collectors, the 1977 nickel reveals depth, nuance, and collectible potential that extend far beyond its 5-cent face value. To truly appreciate this coin, we must explore its historical context, design features, production figures, known variations and errors, its place in the collector market, and what makes a 1977 Jefferson nickel particularly desirable. First, let's set the stage historically. By 1977, the United States was well into a period where coins no longer contained precious metals for everyday circulation. Silver had been removed from dimes and quarters in 1965 and from half dollars shortly thereafter, leaving copper-nickel-clad coinage as the standard. The Jefferson nickel, introduced in 1938 and designed by Felix Schlag, had become an everyday fixture of commerce, carried in wallets, jars, registers, and cash boxes nationwide. The late 1970s were also a time of broader social and economic change in the United States. Inflation concerns were emerging, technological advances were accelerating, and Americans were increasingly conscious of both historical legacy and future economic trends. In this environment, coins circulated widely, but collectors also began to place greater emphasis on condition and on collecting complete sets, mint marks, and varieties. The 1977 Jefferson nickel continues the classic Felix Schlag design. On the obverse, a dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson faces left. Unlike earlier issues from 1938 to 1964, which sometimes exhibit softer strikes from heavy circulation and older dies, 1970s nickels generally benefit from more consistent minting technology. This means that the portrait of Jefferson on well-preserved 1977 nickels often retains crisp details, especially in the hair, jawline, and facial features, that make high-grade examples truly stand out. The obverse is inscribed with "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1977, all placed cleanly around Jefferson's profile. The reverse, equally iconic, depicts Jefferson's home, Monticello, a neoclassical architectural work that symbolizes Jefferson's enduring legacy and contribution to early American design and thought. The stylized columns, pediments, and steps of Monticello make for a balanced and harmonious reverse design that has come to define the Jefferson nickel series. When it comes to production figures, the 1977 Jefferson nickel was struck at both major mint facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint placed a small D on the reverse beneath Monticello. Combined mintages for the year totaled well over 600 million pieces, with Philadelphia responsible for the larger share and Denver following closely behind. These numbers reflect heavy circulation demand. Nickels were used not just in everyday purchases, but in transit systems, vending machines, parking meters, and countless other everyday contexts. Given such large numbers, one might assume that the 1977 nickel has little collector value beyond its face value. But this assumption overlooks key elements of condition rarity and collector demand. Every collector knows that condition is king, and this is especially true for dates like 1977 that were minted in vast quantities. Most 1977 nickels that entered circulation show varying degrees of wear, softening of high points, surface abrasions, and dulling of luster, because they quickly passed from hand to hand in the late 1970s economy. Consequently, most survivors are common in circulated grades, and those coins typically sell for modest premiums over face value among collectors who want representative examples for typesets. However, once we shift into the realm of uncirculated or near-uncirculated examples, value potential grows dramatically. Coins graded mint state 60 to mint state 62, MS60, MS62, show no signs of circulation, but may have noticeable contact marks or slight imperfections from the minting process. These uncirculated examples are far less common than circulated coins because most 1,977 nickels spent years in pocket change rather than in storage or collections. As we ascend the grading scale toward MS63, MS64, MS65, and above, the scarcity of quality examples becomes increasingly apparent. A 1977 Jefferson nickel in MS65 grade, characterized by strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp strike definition, is substantially rarer than its lower-grade counterparts. Collectors seeking complete sets in high grades prize these coins, and the premium paid for an MS65 or better can be many multiples of what a typical circulated coin brings. What differentiates a high-grade specimen from a run-of-the-mill uncirculated coin is often the degree of original luster that remains intact, the crispness of design elements, especially Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's architectural lines, and the lack of distracting marks or abrasions. Beyond basic uncirculated condition, dye varieties and mint anomalies play a compelling role in the 1977 Nichols collectible landscape. While the year is not famous for dramatic errors like off-center strikes or double dyes that unlock six-figure values, a number of subtle varieties are documented and pursued by specialist collectors. One category includes double dye varieties, instances where the design appears slightly doubled due to dye misalignment during the hubbing process. This doubling can be visible in letters, dates, or other design elements, and is often best observed under magnification. Although the doubling in these 1977 Nichols is usually subtle, dedicated variety collectors prize such pieces for their connection to mint production processes and the rarity of specific dye states. Die cracks represent another collectible category. Dies, which are the hardened steel tools used to strike coins, inevitably develop stress fractures as they age and are used repeatedly. These fractures can transfer to the coins as raised lines across surfaces. Some 1977 Nichols display prominent die cracks, running through lettering, across Monticello, or even on Jefferson's profile, that reveal the die's condition at the moment of striking. Coins displaying dramatic and aesthetically interesting die cracks attract attention from specialists who focus on mint errors and die states, often commanding premiums above typical uncirculated pieces of similar grade. Planchet anomalies, imperfections in the metal blanks before striking, also occur within the 1977 nickel population. Minor lamination flaws, slight planchet clipping, or other irregularities may appear on some examples. While not all collectors chase such anomalies, error enthusiasts often consider these coins to be worthy additions to specialized collections, especially when the anomaly is distinctive and the coin still retains strong overall condition. Another important aspect of the 1977 Jefferson Nichols collector appeal lies in its place within the broader Jefferson Nichols series. Many numismatists pursue date and mint mark collections, sets that include every year and mint combination. In such endeavors, the 1977 coins are necessary components, and especially in high grades, they are key to completing premium quality collections. For advanced collectors who want a set where each coin shows strong detail and excellent eye appeal, finding a high-grade 1977 nickel from both Philadelphia and Denver becomes an achievable but challenging goal, one that adds significant enjoyment and satisfaction to the collecting process. Market values for the 1977 Jefferson nickel vary widely based on condition, eye appeal, and any notable variety or error attributes. Circulated coins, even those with full dates and reasonably pleasing surfaces, usually trade for modest premiums, often within a few dollars above face value. Uncirculated examples in lower MS grades begin to show stronger demand, often trading at prices that reflect collector willingness to pay for cleaner, original specimens. Higher MS grades, particularly MS64 and MS65, command significant premiums relative to their circulated counterparts. Exceptional coins with full original luster and minimal marks can draw serious interest from collectors and dealers alike, sometimes achieving even higher premiums when presented in online auctions or specialist numismatic marketplaces. Collector interest in the 1977 Monticello Jefferson nickel continues to grow not only because of condition sensitivity, but also because coins from this period often evoke a sense of nostalgia mixed with historical curiosity. These are coins that circulated during the late 1970s, a period marked by social evolution, economic turbulence, and shifting cultural norms. Every 1977 nickel that remains in high condition today suggests a story of survival. A coin spared heavy circulation, buried in a collection or coin album, and preserved through decades. That narrative adds intangible appeal to collectors who value history as much as intrinsic numismatic merit. In conclusion, the 1977 Monticello Jefferson nickel may not be the most headline-grabbing coin in the series, but it is a coin rich with collectible potential and historical relevance. From its design continuity and abundant production to the nuances of condition rarity, subtle die varieties, mint errors, and collector demand for high-grade examples, the 1977 nickel offers depth that rewards careful study and attentive collecting. Whether you're beginning your numismatic journey or pursuing advanced, high-grade Jefferson nickel sets, the 1977 issue deserves a thoughtful place in your collection. 1979 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. The 1979 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel stands as another key chapter in the expansive story of the Jefferson 5-cent series. On the surface, it's a standard circulating coin, familiar in design, routinely encountered in commerce, and often overlooked by cursory glance. Yet, for the numismatically curious, the 1979 D nickel is a particularly interesting piece when considered in light of its historical context, physical features, production figures, potential errors and varieties, its behavior in the collector market, and the ways in which quality and rarity converge to create demand beyond face value. To begin our deep dive, it's important to understand the context of American coinage and the Jefferson nickel series by 1979. Since its introduction in 1938, the Jefferson nickel had enjoyed uninterrupted production, its design rooted in Felix Schlag's portrayal of Thomas Jefferson and his architectural legacy, Monticello. By the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint had long since removed precious metals from everyday coins, and the Jefferson nickel's copper-nickel-clad composition had become standard. These coins serve the everyday monetary needs of a growing and increasingly mobile population, in vending machines, transit tokens, parking meters, cash registers, and wallets across the nation. The late 1970s were also an era of shifting economic conditions, with inflation and energy crises shaping broader public consciousness. In that environment, circulating coins like the nickel quietly fulfilled their role, while dedicated collectors began paying ever closer attention to condition, mint marks, and subtle production attributes that reveal the story behind the strike. The 1979 D. Jefferson nickel, as its designation suggests, was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the United States Mint's primary facilities. The small D mint mark appears on the reverse of the coin beneath Monticello, serving as the identifying feature for collectors tracking mint mark combinations. Combined with the classic obverse portrait of Jefferson, the 1979 D maintains the series' iconic aesthetic. Inscriptions including "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" on the obverse, flanking Jefferson's left-facing profile, and "United States of America" and 5 cents framing Jefferson's beloved Virginia home on the reverse. The design is simple yet elegant, capturing the period's respect for tradition, even as the broader cultural and economic landscape underwent transformation. When we examine mintage figures, we find that the 1979 D. Jefferson nickel was produced in substantial quantities. The Denver Mint struck well over 230 million of these coins that year, and the Philadelphia Mint, producing coins without mint marks, also produced a similarly large number of 1,979 nickels. Given such high mintage figures, examples in circulated condition remain abundant and readily available in pocket change, change rolls, and bulk coin lots. However, the story of the 1979 D nickel's collectible value isn't told solely by raw numbers. It's also shaped by survival patterns, condition rarity, die variety subtleties, and collector demand for quality coins. In the field of numismatics, condition remains one of the most critical value drivers for any coin, including the 1979 D. Jefferson nickel. Most 1979 D nickels that entered circulation during the late 1970s and into the 1980s show the expected signs of wear: softened high points on Jefferson's portrait, diminished details on Monticello's columns and windows, and surface abrasions from years spent in pockets and cash registers. These circulated coins are plentiful, and they hold modest collector interest, often serving as representative components of date-and-type collections and as baseline examples for educational purposes. In terms of market value, these circulated coins typically trade for a small premium above face value, reflecting demand from collectors completing basic collections or studying coin grading. The real value potential for the 1979 D. Jefferson nickel emerges when we consider uncirculated and near-uncirculated survivors. Uncirculated coins that show no signs of wear, preserved with original mint luster, sharp strike details, and minimal contact marks, are far less common than their circulated counterparts. Among these, specimens graded Mint State 60 through Mint State 62, MS60, MS62, represent uncirculated fares with some contact marks or strike imperfections, while higher certified grades such as MS63, MS-64, MS-65, and above become progressively scarcer and more desirable among collectors. The jump in value from common circulated examples to quality uncirculated specimens is significant because high-grade survivors represent coins that escaped rough handling for decades, often tucked away in collections, coin albums, or small hoards that were never fully circulated. One critical factor in the 1979 D nickel's collectability is eye appeal. Even within the same grade designation, two coins can vary widely in their attractiveness based on factors such as luster quality, surface toning, strike strength, and the absence of distracting marks. A 1979 D nickel graded MS-65 with strong, satin-like original luster and crisp detail will typically command a substantial premium over an MS-65 example with muted luster or multiple minor contact marks. Collectors with an eye for quality often place a premium on coins that not only score high in technical grade, but also present beautifully. In addition to general condition and eye appeal, the 1979 D issue offers varieties and mint error possibilities that further stimulate niche collector interest. Double die varieties, where the die receives more than one impression during hubbing, resulting in subtle doubling of design elements, are known across many years of Jefferson nickel production, and 1979 D is no exception. In these instances, elements such as letters, dates, or other design features show faint secondary impressions visible under magnification. While not always dramatically obvious to the naked eye, such double dies are documented among specialists and can carry premiums above standard examples, particularly when authenticated and certified by grading services. Die cracks represent another intriguing area of variety interest for the 1979 D series. Minting dies endure extensive stress during production runs, sometimes developing fine cracks that transfer onto the struck coins as raised lines. These die cracks, especially when they intersect key design elements such as Liberty, the date, or parts of Monticello, reveal subtle stories of minting pressures and production cycles. Coins with notable die crack patterns that still maintain overall strong condition may appeal to error collectors or those specializing in die state varieties. Other planchet anomalies, imperfections in the metal blanks used before striking, can also appear among 1979 D nickels. Lamination flaws, clipped planchets, or other irregularities in the planchet surface offer additional areas of interest for collectors focused on error coins. Though these anomalies don't necessarily confer intrinsic rarity in every instance, they frequently attract attention from specialists who catalog and collect such misstruck or imperfect pieces. The collector interest in the 1979 D Jefferson nickel dovetails with broader trends in numismatics. Many coin collectors pursue date and mint mark sets, complete collections where every year and major mint combination earns a place. In that context, the 1979 D is a necessary bracket of a complete set, and especially when represented by an uncirculated, high-quality example, it carries heightened demand. For advanced collectors compiling sets with strong eye appeal rather than simply good dates, securing quality 1979 D nickels and MS-64 and above often represents a meaningful stepping stone in their assembling journey. Market values for the 1979 D Jefferson nickel vary significantly based on grade, eye appeal, and any error or variety attributes. Common circulated examples are affordable and often suitable for general collections. Uncirculated coins graded MS-60, MS-63 show moderate premiums, reflecting demand from collectors who prioritize quality above mere completion. Higher grades, such as MS-64 and MS-65, can command substantially stronger premiums, especially when paired with attractive surfaces, strong luster, and crisp strike details. When coins exhibit identifiable double dies, prominent die cracks, or other collectible faults, their market value can surpass that of normal examples of similar grade, particularly when accompanied by strong eye appeal and certification. What ultimately makes the 1979 D Monticello Jefferson nickel compelling is the way an ostensibly ordinary coin transforms into a collectible treasure through condition, quality, and context. It is a physical remnant of everyday commerce in late 20th century America, yet it speaks to the deeper interests of numismatists who seek rarity not solely in low production numbers, but in preservation, detail, and historical resonance. Whether you're a beginner looking to expand your date and mint mark sets, or an advanced collector chasing high-grade survivors and subtle varieties, the 1979 Jefferson nickel offers rewarding opportunities for study, acquisition, and appreciation. 1984 Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. The 1984 Monticello Jefferson nickel is a fascinating chapter in the long and storied Jefferson nickel lineage. While not one of the ultra-rare issues with tiny surviving populations, nor one of the famous early die variety rarities, this coin has more to offer than most casual holders realize. It reflects the numismatic trends and economic climate of the mid-1980s, showcases classic U.S. mint design craftsmanship, and provides collectors with both approachable entry-level examples and deeper niches of interest through condition rarity and minor varieties. Let's begin with the historical context. By 1984, the Jefferson nickel had been in nearly continuous circulation since 1938, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The mid-1980s were a time of economic expansion in the United States, marked by heightened consumer confidence, evolving global markets, and renewed interest in American numismatics. Coins minted during this era were part of vast circulation runs, yet many also found their way into collections because coin collecting experienced a boom during the 1970s and 1980s. Baby boomers and new generations of hobbyists were assembling sets of modern coins alongside classic issues, and the Jefferson nickel, with its simple yet elegant design, became a staple of many beginner and advanced collections alike. The 1984 Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identifiable by the lack of a mint mark on the obverse. The obverse design features a dignified left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, his facial features cleanly rendered with sharply struck hairlines, a well-defined jaw, and subtle details that persist in higher-grade examples. Surrounding his portrait are the inscriptions "In God We Trust," which affirms the nation's motto, liberty, echoing the ideology Jefferson championed, and the date, 1984, clearly displayed to the right of Jefferson's profile. The reverse carries the cherished image of Monticello, the stately Virginia home designed by Jefferson himself. The architectural depiction is symmetrical and grounded, the columns, roofline, and terraces etched with clarity when struck well. Around Monticello are the words "E pluribus unum," United States of America, and 5 cents, themes of unity and national identity, pleasingly encircling the focal image. One of the first things collectors look at when evaluating a coin like the 1984 nickel is mintage, not just the raw number, but how many of those coins survive today in high grade. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 220 million Jefferson nickels in 1984, a figure that illustrates how common these coins were in circulation. Given widespread use in commerce, many of these coins experienced wear and abrasion, and thus most surviving examples are found in circulated condition with softened design elements. Yet raw mintage numbers don't tell the full story. What's far more interesting is the survival rate of coins that escaped wear and remained close to their original mint state. Those survivors, especially in grades MS63 and above, are much scarcer. In typical circulated grades, from good, G, through very fine, VF, and extremely fine, EF, the 1984 nickel holds modest collector value. Collectors who fill basic date-and-type folders will enjoy picking up nice, circulated examples to complete a Jefferson nickel set. These coins often trade for modest premiums, affordable for even beginner hobbyists. The appeal in these grades comes from the coin's place within the historical continuum. It represents money that changed hands during everyday transactions throughout the 1980s, a decade of cultural and economic transition. However, the value landscape shifts dramatically once we move into uncirculated condition. Coins graded mint state, MS, reveal the true collector potential of the 1984 nickel. An MS60 coin, indicating no wear but noticeable contact marks, slight imperfections, and weaker strike areas, is already notably above common circulated values. It represents a piece that bypassed heavy usage, perhaps held in a roll, hoard, or early collection, and only emerged decades later in high condition. As we ascend through the grading scale, MS62, MS63, MS64, the population drops sharply. Coins in MS64 and above are truly rare survivors, with strong luster, clean surfaces, and crisp strike details. Coins graded MS65 and higher are especially coveted by collectors completing high-grade Jefferson nickel sets. These pieces exhibit exceptional visual appeal, reflective fields, well-defined features on both obverse and reverse, and minimal contact marks. In such high grades, the 1984 P nickel transcends its everyday origins and becomes a collectible object with meaningful market value. Auction records and dealer price guides demonstrate that quality MS65 examples often fetch significant premiums, sometimes commanding several times the price of average circulated specimens. What distinguishes these coins is not only their technical grade, but also their aesthetic appeal, which modern collectors prize highly. Beyond standard grading, the 1984 P issue also contains interesting niches of die varieties and potential mint errors, areas that draw deeper investigations from seasoned numismatists. While dramatic double dies and grossly misstruck coins are not widely associated with this date, numismatic specialists have documented subtle double die occurrences on some 1984 P specimens. These doubling effects may manifest in the lettering, date, or certain design elements when viewed under magnification. Though often subtle and not immediately visible to the naked eye, these varieties offer challenges and rewards for variety collectors who enjoy tracking slight anomalies across mint state populations. Die cracks, raised lines that appear when split or stressed dies impress coin blanks, can also be found in some 1984 P Jefferson nickels. These occur because dies, like any tool subjected to repeated stress, gradually weaken and fracture with extended use. When a die is cracked during striking, it can leave raised linear scars on the coin's surface. Some collectors find coins with notable die cracks fascinating, especially when the crack patterns intersect major design areas or create visually interesting effects. Planchet anomalies are another area where the 1984 P nickel occasionally surprises. The planchet is the blank piece of metal ready to be struck, and if imperfections exist, such as lamination flaws or clips from misfeeding, the final struck coin will carry these irregularities. Although such planchet flaws are not unique to the 1984 P issue, they compound the collectible possibilities for those who specialize in errors. Collector interest in the 1984 P Jefferson nickel also rises from its role in date and mint mark sets. Most numismatists strive to complete full sets of Jefferson nickels spanning from 1938 to the modern era, and the 1984 P holds its place as a necessary component. In high grades, these coins fill desirable gaps in advanced set builds, and having a quality MS64 or better example often elevates the overall set value. What's more, many collectors compare paired examples from Philadelphia and Denver issues, searching for differences in strike sharpness, surface coloration, and luster, adding another dimension to collecting interest. Market values for the 1984 P nickel vary widely based on condition and eye appeal. Circulated examples often sell at modest prices appropriate for general collections. Uncirculated coins in MS60, MS62 grades enter collector markets at elevated prices, reflecting their condition rarity and demand. Higher grade survivors in MS63, MS65 command premiums, often significantly above face value, especially when the coins exhibit pleasing aesthetics and strong overall quality. Specialized examples, such as those showing subtle doubling, noticeable die cracks, or other minor mint anomalies, may achieve still higher valuations among variety collectors. What makes the 1984 P Monticello Jefferson nickel truly compelling is how a seemingly ordinary coin reveals so much depth when examined closely. It is a piece that circulated in everyday life, yet a small percentage emerged relatively untouched, preserved with qualities that today's collectors prize. Whether regarded for its condition rarity, its place in Jefferson nickel series history, its subtle varieties and errors, or its importance in completing advanced sets, the 1984 P nickel stands as a worthy subject of study and admiration. In your hand, A high-grade example is more than a 5-cent coin. It is a physical connection to the people, commerce, and collecting traditions of mid-1980s America. 1986, P. Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. The 1986 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel is another significant entry in the continuing saga of the modern Jefferson nickel series. Like other issues from the 1980s, this coin was produced in high quantities for circulation, yet its collector value goes far beyond its widespread minting numbers. The 1986 P. nickel reflects the careful craftsmanship and ongoing tradition of U.S. coinage, showing how everyday coins can also become collectible treasures under the right conditions. In this extensive narrative, we'll explore the historical backdrop of the 1986 issue, its design elements, the nuances of its mintage and survival, known production errors and varieties, market valuation trends, and the reasons collectors seek out quality examples. Let's begin with context. By 1986, the Jefferson nickel had been in production for nearly 5 decades in its original design form, embodying a piece of American history that has spanned generations. The mid-1980s were a period of relative economic stability in the United States, with increased interest in hobbies such as coin collecting. Many collectors grown up during the boom decades of the 1970s were expanding their collections into contemporary issues, and new generations of enthusiasts were entering the hobby. As a result, coins like the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel entered both circulation and collections with greater frequency than earlier issues. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel carries the familiar obverse featuring a portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. As always, the portrait is surrounded by inscriptions including "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," and the date 1986. These elements form the heart of the coin's design, conveying both a sense of tradition and a connection to Jefferson's enduring legacy. On the reverse, Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia estate, stands proudly at the center of the composition. Architectural features such as columns, windows, pediments, and terraces are all rendered with fidelity, particularly on higher-grade examples. The inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents frame the architectural focal point, completing the coin's balanced aesthetic. The 1986 P. Jefferson nickel was minted in large numbers. The Philadelphia facility produced approximately 187 million of these coins for circulation. Given such substantial mintage, it would be easy to assume this date holds little numismatic value. As with other high-mintage modern coins, condition rarity makes all the difference. In everyday pocket change, most 1986 P. nickels display signs of circulation, softened details, whereon high points like Jefferson's cheek and hair, and subdued surface quality. Such examples are affordable and widely available, making them ideal for general collections and educational purposes. However, the numismatic excitement truly begins with uncirculated survivors, coins that entered collections or storage without enduring the wear and tear of everyday commerce. In these uncirculated states, the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel reveals crisp details, original mint luster, and surface quality that collectors pursue with enthusiasm. Among uncirculated coins, the grading scale offers a roadmap to rarity. MS60, mint state 60, coins show no wear but may have multiple contact marks or weak strike areas. As grades rise toward MS63, MS64, and MS65, the coins exhibit increasingly stronger strikes, fewer marks, and better visual appeal. Coins graded MS65 and above are especially prized by collectors because they are relatively scarce compared to lower-grade survivors. A high-grade MS65 example from Philadelphia will display robust luster, sharp detail in Jefferson's portrait, particularly in the hair and facial definition, and well-defined architectural features on Monticello. A lack of distracting marks or abrasions enhances the coin's desirability and supports stronger market valuations. Auction records and dealer reports consistently show that MS64 and MS65 1986 P. nickels command premiums above common circulated examples, frequently attracting collectors completing advanced sets. Beyond standard mint state grading, the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel offers intriguing areas of variety and error interest, another layer that deepens its collectible appeal. While not as famous as classic double-die date errors or dramatic mint misstrikes, the 1986 P issue does exhibit subtle double-die occurrences on some specimens. These are often visible only under magnification or careful comparison with baseline examples, but they present obsessive variety collectors with challenges and rewards. Doubling in lettering, design elements, or date features can elevate a coin's interest and, when authenticated and certified, its market value. Die cracks are another type of anomaly found among some 1986 P nickels. Dies, like all tools, are subject to wear and stress over time. When a die develops fractures or splits, those imperfections can transfer to the coin surface as raised linear marks. These die cracks can range from minor, isolated streaks to more dramatic network patterns, depending on the severity of the die condition when the coin was struck. Collectors who specialize in mint error phenomena often seek out such examples because they tell a story about the production process, a glimpse into the conditions and stresses within minting presses. Planchet flaws are also discoverable in certain 1986 P nickels. These anomalies originate in the metal blank before it enters the striking process, and irregularities such as lamination issues or clipped edges may be visible in the final struck coin. Though these planchet anomalies don't always confer monetary rarity to every specimen, they do provide additional interest for collectors who enjoy assembling specialized error or anomaly collections. Market values for the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel vary widely depending on condition, eye appeal, and any specific variety or error characteristics. Circulated examples, even those with full, readable dates, are often affordable, suitable for broad date and type sets or introductory collections. Uncirculated coins in typical mint state grades represent the first tier of elevated value, with MS-63 and MS-64 specimens fetching notable premiums. MS-65 and higher coins, especially those with strong strike definition, clean fields, and bright luster, command the most significant collector attention. When such coins also exhibit attractive surface toning or aesthetic appeal, they often perform even more strongly in auctions or private sales. Collector interest in the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel is sustained not only by condition scarcity and varieties, but also by its role in completing both general issues and specialized collections. A full Jefferson nickel set, whether focused on date and mint mark representation, high-grade preservation, or error varieties, inevitably includes the 1986 P coin. For advanced collectors, acquiring quality examples that sit well together, visually cohesive and technically strong, often becomes an engaging pursuit of both aesthetic and historical appreciation. Perhaps the most compelling element of the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel is that it bridges the gap between the everyday and the extraordinary. On one hand, it circulated widely, fulfilling its role as a medium of monetary exchange in the mid-1980s economy. On the other hand, when preserved in high grade or presenting unusual character through minor varieties, it rewards the careful observer with collectible significance, historical resonance, and genuine numismatic value. Far from being just another 5-cent coin, the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel shows how even modern, high-mintage issues can become prized and meaningful artifacts within the broader story of American coinage.